All right, something cool here is with Chris Poland. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Real good, real good. I'm so glad to have you on the show here. There's so much for us to talk about, but I want to jump right in and discuss this new track that you did. And this is a piece of music that you're doing for Fatal Opera, which was Gar Samuelson's band that it was, you guys were together in Megadeth back in the day. And the first track I heard is The Raven, man. That thing was amazing.
Yeah. The songwriting is really just totally original. That's those songs that's Gar's personality. Gar and Stu are really good songwriters. Or Gar was a great songwriter.
Now let me ask you this: with these songs, this is Gar's stuff. Were these written ahead of time? Was just his drums written, and you guys had to come in and decide how it went, or how did the process go?
I'm pretty sure the drums were recorded, and I think a couple of the tracks they just redid stuff because I think they were found. I can't tell you for sure, but I'm just glad that they're seeing the light of day, and I'm glad that Dave Ellison and Combat Records are going to release it. I think it's any Megadeth fan should have this record just to add to the collection. It's just it's super heavy too. I mean, but it's different. It's worth a listen for sure.
Now, with the stuff that you did on this album, I mean, did you go to the studio, or is this stuff that you did and sent over the internet, or?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff everybody today. I mean, if I guest on a record, I just record it in my studio here where I'm at right now, and I have a control room, tracking room, and a bunch of really good equipment. So I get to take my time, get it sounding right, and try and get the best take I can. And pretty much that's how everybody's doing it. If they're going to guest on something, they just do it in their own personal studio.
Now, did they have a direction that they wanted you to take, or were you able to just free rein and play whatever you thought went?
Yeah, no, they didn't. They just said, whatever you think, is good. So, and I get the two songs mixed up because I played on two songs and I didn't get the titles. I know there's The Raven and there's one other song. Is there a really intense solo section with just a really, kind of pedal to the metal kind of solo section with really intense drums and bass?
Yeah, that's the one I heard.
Okay, yeah, that solo was really hard for me to pull off. I had to really because it was just like I couldn't think fast enough, and I finally got it, but it was really tough, man. But I like the intro to that song a lot, man. It's totally haunting.
Oh yeah, I mean the track was amazing. I mean, I definitely could see what you're talking about, where it was hard to pull it off, but you did a fantastic job, man. That's for sure.
Well, thanks. I think I sent them two different solos in case they weren't happy with one of them, but I think they went with the one that I liked, so that's good.
Now, with this going through, I know you do stuff with your band. Was it fun going back into playing the harder metal stuff?
Oh yeah, I do that a lot. I mean, I've done guest spots on Lamb of God records, and I do stuff for a progressive band called Redemption. I love doing any kind of spot where they want me to come in and just do a solo. Like I did a solo on Jeff Loomis's record, which was that was an honor to do because Jeff Loomis is like right up there in like the top 10 guitarists in the country. So that was awesome. I get to do stuff like that. And for me, it's totally fun because, I just get to do what I can do and try and get my best, impression of what I want to do in the song. And, it's just great. It's just so much fun and I love doing it. So I can't even remember how many solos I've done, guest appearances that I've recorded in my studio. It's gotta be like 50.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's got to be real cool to have these people reach out and say, you know, I mean, well, dude, you were a key part of Megadeth, especially in their years that they became known for what they are. I mean, you were there when they, you know, when they first became famous.
I was lucky. I think about that a lot. And you know what? I think about it here because, you know, me and my boss, we run a huge studio facility where people have recording studios, rehearsal studios, and I see, you know, young guys coming in here in their 20s, and I think about, you know, what happened in my life and the bands I've been in, and I see there's like, we have 220 rooms here, you know, studios, and I think, you know, I was pretty lucky to even have anybody, the fact that we're even talking on the phone, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I appreciate it. You know, I don't think light of it at all. I know that, you know, I was blessed that I got to do it. So
Now, I mean, you went, like I said, you went from a time where they were, you know, being like a regular, a touring band doing, you know, like RVs and stuff like that, getting tour buses and a crew and roadies and things like that.
yeah, no, I was talking to your son about that. I was like, you know, they started out, you know, in a station wagon, their first tour. Then when I was touring with them, it was a Winnebago and a Ryder truck for the equipment. And then when Peace Sells came out, I think the first tour we did was with two Winnebagos and two Ryder trucks. And then after that, we got buses. And I was like, wow, this is like the real deal, you know? And we weren't coming home with any money because, you know, we were in buses and we had a crew and we were spending a lot of money, but we had that look. And I think people are impressed by that. I know it sounds shallow, but when they see a band pull up in a bus and there's a bunch of crew guys running around, you already look like, you know, you've made it. Even at the time, we were just hoping that the record was going to take off, and it did. But you know what? It very well could have. It might not have taken off, you know, it's all luck. And it's like, we're really lucky that MTV picked up Dave Ellison's bass line.
Right.
That
right.
bass line was MTV for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And that didn't hurt, you know? So I think it's not all luck, but there's some luck involved, man. You know, you got to be prepared. You got to have talent, and you got to be doing it for the love of it. You know, anybody that's doing it to make money is probably not going to get anywhere.
Now, was that a lot to handle back then? I mean, you guys were all young, and all of a sudden, you guys are riding on tour buses, and people are all over you. You know what I mean? I mean, you got fans throwing themselves at you. There's partying going on. I mean, was it?
No, not at all. And I'll tell you why. Because there were times when we ran out of the fuel to heat the Winnebago, and we'd be on the East Coast in the middle of winter, sleeping in the Winnebago because we don't have enough money to get a hotel room, and we don't have any money for food. So you'd wake up in the morning and drink a beer just so you had some energy. You know, so when things got better, we were just like, you know, we had already paid our dues. You know, me and Dave Mustaine lived in a rehearsal studio for a year and took bird baths in a sink, you know? So when all that came, it was like, yeah, you know, it's like, yeah, well, okay, we put our work in, you know? So I think it's bands that, you know, like a band that got together a year ago and now they just sold 20 million records. Those guys, that's a lot to deal with, you know? And a lot of bands can deal with it, but you know, but no, I think we had paid our dues, and I think, you know, we deserved what we got back then. And of course, Dave, you know, took it to the next level, and now he's like a household word.
Now, when you guys are as close as you were, I mean, you just said you guys lived in a studio together for a year and stuff like that. I mean, I think it causes a lot of easy to fight, like, you know how brothers get into arguments and fights like that. Is that basically what happened with you guys?
Oh yeah, you know, if we drank too much, if I said something stupid, we'd fight. If he said something stupid, we'd fight. But it was always if we drank too much. If we were sober, it was just like, hey, what's going on?
So when you left the band in '87, there was a rumor that you sold Mustang and Elbson's gear. Is that true?
I'll tell you the truth. The only thing that I did was I pawned my equipment, but I did sell one thing. And I didn't tell your son because I could tell he was young and I was just embarrassed. But I took Dave Ellison had a bass in the closet that he would never play because it was just not metal. It was an old Dan Armstrong bass and it had a warped neck and it was just not, it wasn't all that. And I was really mad at him because he always sided with Dave Mustaine. And I realized now, and I realized after I got sober that he wasn't siding with Dave Mustaine. He was doing the right business. It was the right thing to do. And I was just like I always just felt like it was always him and Dave and me and Gar, So I got upset one day and I just sold his bass outright. And he never asked me about it. Nobody ever said a word about it. And years later, in my studios, a guy walked in with a Vic Rattlehead art, like a big giant Vic Rattlehead thing that was in one of their videos. And I bought it from the guy and I called up Dave and Dave Ellison. I said, Dave, I want to make amends with you. You got to come to my office. So he came in. I handed him this really, really awesome Vic Rattlehead art piece. And I said, I bought this for you to make up for what happened with your bass. Because that was the only thing that I ever took that wasn't mine. Everything else, it was my Marshall, it was my guitar. I would pawn it. And then Scott, our babysitter manager, Scott Menzies, before a tour would start, or if we had to start rehearsals, he would get like $50 from our manager and go get it out of pawn, that's the whole, that's the truth of the whole thing, really.
Now, have you ever talked to Elbson about the track Liar? I mean, was that really written about you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Dave was very upset that, with me, when I left the band, when he fired me, basically.
Now, I mean, that track was pretty brutal, man. I mean, when you heard it for the first time and you found out that was about you, were you pissed off or?
No, man, it's like, it's like the pot calling the kettle black, man. When you point your finger, man, there's three pointing back at you. So I just rolled my eyes and was like, really?
But after that happened, I mean, he asked you to come back and you did some solo demos for Rust in Peace, but you didn't want to join the band?
I did want to join the band. I was going to join the band. And my manager kept telling me, if you join that band, you're going to die. And I kept thinking about it. And, when someone says that to you and they're looking, she was my manager. She was also my girlfriend. We lived together. And she was looking at me like, are you listening to what I'm saying? And so when we were driving to the Ivy to have a meeting with Dave and everybody, and it was on the way there that I said, yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do it. And I'm going to join the band. I may have even made my mind up before that. I can't remember. It was so long ago. And they had told me they had Marty Friedman was next in line. And I thought to myself, well, geez, how bad can that be, So also I had a record deal with Enigma Records. I had my own solo record I was about to make. So I weighed the odds, and yeah, granted, I could have joined Megadeth. Maybe I would have lived. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have died, but I know that before I even met Janie Hoffman, my manager girlfriend at the time, she saw me come off a bus at a gig at the Santa Monica Civic Center, and she turned to Andy Somers, Megadeth's agent, and she said, he's going to die in about a month. Because I was blue. I was really close to like not being here anymore. And I just got lucky again, I got lucky and I got sober.
Now, do you think if you were sober at the time, you would have stuck with them back in 1990 then?
I was sober I was sober. Oh, you mean if I was sober while I was in the band?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No, there's no way. No one was sober in Megadeth at that time. Nobody was. We were all like all three sheets to the wind at every moment, you know. But when I was sober, thinking about joining the band, nobody was sober in the band. Maybe you know what? I take that back. I think Nick Menza hadn't gotten corrupted yet, but you know, maybe me and Nick could have hung out together. I don't know. It doesn't matter because what happened happened. You know, this was whatever happened was meant to be. You know,
Now,
and you know, I could have joined the band and I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because I really just I had other plans for myself. You know, and you know maybe money wasn't involved, but I did make a lot of great music. So.
now, in 2004, the solos that you did for Rust in Peace came out in the remastered version, and that same year, you did the comeback album. The System Has Failed. What came first? Did the remaster come first, or did you come in talks and join the?
Oh no, the when I was there recording, I met a really great engineer named Ralph Patlin, and he went on to mix one of the Ohm records, but that's a different time. But anyway, while I was there doing solos, Dave was in another studio remixing all the catalog, and I didn't think anything about it. You know, I thought, okay, he's remixing it. They're going to use my solos. You know, I'll probably get a royalty. And then when it came out, there was no mention of any money or anything. You know, it's like, and you know, I tried to get a hold of Dave, but his numbers didn't work, and his manager kept like shining me on, and eventually I was just like, I'm not going to let this happen, because everybody would come up and go, dude, did you know that, you know, there's a bunch of your solos on the record? And I was like, no. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know that, you know, everybody else was going to get a royalty but me. And so just out of, you know, it was just right. You know, it was like his manager told me, Dave thought you were going to do it for the fans. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody else did it for the fans.
Right.
Everybody else got paid. So, you know, in hindsight, honestly, I should have just like not said anything. But, you know, like you said, you know, I had the song Liar in the back of my mind. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to be stepped on. And if I had it to do over again, I probably wouldn't have done it.
So that's for the remastered version, but then the System Has Failed. How did you come back and decide to do that album with them?
My manager, Steve Bauer, was he's my personal manager to this day. If it wasn't for Steve Bauer, we probably wouldn't be talking. But he gave me a call. He said, "Hey man, they want you to play on the Megadeth record. You sure you want to do it?" You know, he was kind of like he was like feeling me out to see if, you know, I thought it was cool, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do it." And when I found out Vinny Colaiuta played drums on it, I was like, "Man, I definitely want to do it now." And, you know, then when I get there, I find all these awesome songs. I was like, man, this is really cool. And then I met, like I said, Ralph Patlin, who's a guitar player himself. And Ralph had this big, huge box of vintage guitar pedals. And man, it was like, I was like a kid in a candy store, man. And they left us alone every once in a while to do solos. So the solo on My Kingdom was a fuzz box I had that I ran into a fuzz wah that he had. It was a Fox fuzz wah volume or something. And the sound we were getting was like the best wah sound that I had ever gotten. And I was just floored by it. And I think we did solos for like an hour straight, just one after another, and just comping them. And yeah, Ralph was a really good engineer, good producer too, man. Really good ears.
So after you did this, why didn't you stick with the band?
Well, Dave didn't ask me. And I mean, you know, we were talking and joking, and he said, "I know you miss me." And I said, "Yeah, I miss you, man." And but he never really said, hey, do you want to play guitar in the band? And I think, you know, he probably was looking at like, you know, Chris has a style. Like, I'm more of a stylist, where, you know, he needed a guitar player that can just, you know, play Marty Friedman like at the drop of a hat. And he probably thought to himself, you know, that's not Chris's bag. Or he just was like, I don't want Chris Poland in my band.
Well, you got to admit, when that album came out, I mean, it was kind of weird. I mean, Elson wasn't part of it, and you know, I mean, Dave was just Mustaine was taking full front and center and saying this is his band, and everyone else was basically session musicians on there.
Yeah, it was kind of like his solo band. I mean, his solo project, but there were some really good songs on that record, though.
Oh yeah,
and nobody even likes them. Nobody likes My Kingdom, and I can't imagine. I mean, it reminds me of like if Frank Zappa did a blues or something. You know, there's just something about that song that I really love. That song, man.
So after that,
and Kick the Chair was a great song. What was the one, Universe? What was that song?
A Blackmail the
There's
Universe.
a lot of really good songs. Yeah, Blackmail the Universe. That was an awesome song. It had a cool Univibe solo in that. But there was also one song that was like out of nowhere. There was like this weird pop ballad, and it was a really well written song. It was just kind of like stood out. Like, wow, that's a pop ballad. It's a love song, you know.
Right.
But hey, you know, it was basically his solo record. I mean, you don't even know. You don't know this, but Dave was a huge pop fan. He was a big fan of Elton John. I can't remember who else, but he was like, you know, he didn't listen to just metal.
Is that what he had pumping up when you guys were about to be on stage? You know, some Elton John or whatnot?
No. You know what we used to play before we went on stage every night? Dave had these 2 Fear records. The first record called Fear, and then the record called More Beer. And no matter how tired or how crappy we felt, we would listen to those records the hour before we went on, and we would be ready, man. I think that's why he got together and did I think it was called MD45 or something like that. He did a record with Lee Ving.
On that album, man, I mean, there was some weird stuff. Like I know Jack was just like an instrumental, and he had a sample from that Texas senator. What was his name? Lloyd Benson. And then the other track.
Are we talking about Fear?
Are
we talking about Megadeth or Fear?
No, Megadeth. On The System Has Failed, I was talking about some of the tracks that were on there. I said there was some weird stuff. You know, I mean, you know, they did the instrumental, and you had the senator doing talking over it. On the track I Know Jack.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. But anyway, to answer your question, no, we didn't listen to Elton John. Matter of fact, I don't think we ever listened to Elton John.
Yeah.
But I tell you this, though. Every time we would hit a city, back then there were used record stores. And they were usually right down the street from the club or the theater. And I would find all these like obscure things like, you know, Weather Report, Mysterious Traveler, or like Alan Holdsworth, IOU, or like the first Ricky Lee Jones record. I don't know if you ever heard it, but she had that big hit, Chucky's in Love. But the rest of the record is just so amazing, man. And so I would wake up in the morning, or I'd get up and I'd be driving with Scott. Scott would be driving to Winnebago. And I go, hey, man, where's my Weather Report record? And he'd go, oh, Dave threw it out the window last night. I'd be like, what? And so I'd get to the next gig and I'd find another Weather Report record, except now, you know, I'd have a black market, you know, and I'd keep it in my bag.
Now I got to ask, man, how do you go from doing thrash metal and then going over and doing the stuff that you do with Home?
Oh, because before me and Gar joined Megadeth, we were in a band called the New Yorkers. And we were trying to do like this crazy Mahavishnu Orchestra fusion stuff with a horn section. And it was all really, kind of a high difficulty factor. So, when it was time to join Megadeth, Gar already had, like chops, you'd listen to Tony Williams and Lenny White and Billy Cobham and people like that. So Gar had a different approach to metal than most metal guys do. Maybe not nowadays, but back, I don't think Lars was listening to like Tony Williams,
Right.
And then and so the guitar for me, I grew up listening to Zeppelin and Beck and Hendrix and Clapton and Trower and just, Leslie West. And so basically Megadeth was just like Led Zeppelin, on 78 to me, except, Dave had like really crazy spider chording and, whole note, half note scales and just all kinds of crazy, stuff that was really interesting to play. It was like, me and Gar were like, this is awesome, man. This is like, it's hard to play. We're not going to get boring. It's not like we're banging out Y&T stuff,
Now, what do you prefer to play? Do you prefer to play the harder stuff, or you prefer to play the kind of stuff you do with Home?
Well, Ohm isn't, I don't know if you've ever seen Ohm live, probably not. Ohm is a pretty heavy band. I mean, if you, in March, we're going to release, we just signed a deal with M Theory Audio, and they're going to release a teaser track in March. It's called Exit Stage Left. And then you'll hear what I'm talking about when I say that we're not just, it's not really fusion. It's more like heavy instrumental music. Like we're not doing like a little, melody head and then, the guy plays a sax solo for 20 minutes. It's not like that at all. Our songs are all like 3.5 minutes long. Usually the solos are like 8 bars and that, and then, we're gone and we're done. Not even 8. What am I talking about? Like 2 bars, really short solos that make, they lend themselves to go to the next section. And then it's not all about solos. It's about the songs, and they're heavy, especially since when Nick Menza joined Ohm, me and Pag said, you know what, we need to get heavier. Because Nick brought this heavy thing to it, and it made me want to play heavier. And so I turned up my game more, and I said, forget all this, these jazz chords and stuff. I'm going to write heavier stuff, and that's what we've been doing.
Now,
and then we got Carlos. Carlos Cruz is a really amazing drummer, songwriter, guitar player. He plays in a band called Warbringer, and he grew up. Nick Menza and Gar Samuelson were his 2 go-to drummers. So when he joined the band, it was perfect. I mean, it was terrible that, what happened and how we met Carlos, but it's kind of what had to happen.
Now, was it hard to decide to continue after Nick passed?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Was it hard to decide to continue with that band after Nick passed?
Yeah, we didn't do anything for like, God, I think 8 months. And then a friend of Carlos's friend said, you should call those guys up and see if they want to get together and jam. And you know what? I'm going to run to my studio really quick. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, no problem.
Because I'm in the office right now. All right. Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to go right next door. Yeah. No, I got it. Thanks, Mike. All right. Yeah. Oh, this is way better. We have a really nice hourly room, full back line. really nice. If you're ever in LA and you want to jam, give me a call. Anyway, no, it was hard. It was hard to even think about playing again, man. And the fact of how Nick, I was telling your son that, Nick had said more than one time to more than us. I mean, even Dave Ellison mentioned, yeah, Nick always said he was going to die on stage. So, it kind of makes the hair on your arm stand up because he did die on stage. But it was traumatic. It was really bad. It was like, there was like a week of just like, crying and just, it was terrible. And so, Madison was, we were doing this wannabe HBO documentary about how do you replace a drummer that you've had for years that passed away. And our previous drummer, David Eagle, had a hole in his heart and something happened and he just didn't make it. And that's what this documentary was about. And so it was Madison actually called Carlos and said, Carlos, do you want to go down and jam with those guys? Because otherwise they're never going to play again. And that's how we met Carlos.
Now, the day that Nick passed away, I mean, did you interact with him before the show? I mean, was he seemed okay, or?
He was awesome. Our sound check was like over the top awesome. He went with Gary, his drum tech, to get something to eat. Everybody was fine. He was, again, his totally hilarious self. Nick Menza was like the funniest person I ever met. And he comes back, and always upbeat, always in a good mood, always making the room in a good mood. You know what I mean? And he gets on stage, and I said this before, I'm going to say it again. It was like a different drummer showed up, man. It's like I had never heard him play drums before until that night. And when I got done with the first song, I looked at Nick and I said, can I swear?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I said, what crawled up your ass? And he just laughed at me. He goes, are you all right? Because I was all sweaty already. And so we get past the second song. And during the second song, I'm looking at Pag like, what is going on? And so again, I'm wiping my face off with a towel. And Nick goes, are you okay, man? And I'm like, F you, man. So he gets done with the third song. He tightens his hi-hat like he always does. He hits his kick drums twice and sets his hands on his lap. And that's it. He checked out. And I thought he was messing around. And I said, come on, Nick, stop effing around. And then when I looked over, his eyes were wide open, but you could tell that he wasn't seeing anything. And I just lost it, man. I threw my guitar down. I was yelling for a doctor, and luckily there was a doctor somewhere in the house. I don't know who got him or how he got up there, but he worked on him, and 3 minutes later the paramedics were there, but they couldn't revive Nick, man. And he did. He died on stage playing drums, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. And it's like Dave Ellison said, Nick got the last laugh.
Right.
He told everybody he was going to die on stage, and he did.
What was the last song that he played?
It was a song called Peanut Buddha.
Now,
and there's a tape of it somewhere. Somebody recorded those 3 songs. Somebody has a tape of that. I don't know who has it. And I think we got a copy of the CD, but I felt so bad about it, I threw it away. And so somebody has it somewhere. I don't know who has it, but I was so freaked out. I was like, get that out of here. Get away from me, If I wish I had it now,
Would you ever play that song again, or do you think it just would bring up too many memories?
Oh, no, we played the songs. We played the songs that like the song that's coming out in March. a song called Exit Stage Left is for Nick, and we actually played that song with Nick. And but what was weird was going back to the Baked Potato the next time, you know, almost, it was over a year later that we even played out again. And it was just not a good day when we, you know, walked back in that place. And it must have been hard for Justin Randy, because he had to go to work the next day. And Justin grew up with Nick. Their fathers were best friends.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't. It has to be very traumatic to go through something like that, and especially, you know, going back to play the same spot. I mean, when you still play there now, I mean, do you still, you know, remember the day? Memories go through your head?
Yeah, you know, we, you know, when you walk in, you always look. You know, you're like right there. And you know, I always know when Pag. There's something I know when Pag is talking about Nick, even though he doesn't say his name. I know when he introduces certain songs, I know we're playing that song for Nick.
Right.
I just know it. And he knows I know. And so does Carlos. So we always, you know, like when those songs come up, man, we really like, and we, you know, give it 101%, you know.
Now, going forward, I mean, I know you said you got 2 tracks coming out. I mean, is that going to lead into a full album, or?
It is. The problem is Carlos injured his shoulder playing. And we thought it was going to be like one of those things, you know, where, you know, take a week off and it's going to be okay. But there was like a tear. There was something like pretty bad. And the doctor suggested not having surgery because that doesn't always like work out.
Right.
So Carlos just in the last week or so has started going, and he set up his kit and he's playing a little bit and then waiting a day or two, then playing a little bit. And he's just seeing how far he can go. And we're hoping for the best, you know.
Now, are you going to have any of the guys, when you do your side project, Humphrey, appear on any of the new stuff that you do, or no?
No, we haven't really. I mean, we haven't talked to Jake and those guys in years, man. It's kind of just like fizzled out. I think, you know, and plus they're a big band. I mean, they make their living on the road, you know. For them to stop and come to LA and stay for like 2 weeks or even a week or whatever it was. I think the first record we made in 3 days, the second record we made in 5 days. And I think for them to even take off, it cuts into their income too much. And I'd love to make another record with them. They're really super creative, man. It was like, I don't know if you've heard both those records, but the first record we just made up on the spot. It just happened. And so did the second one. The second one, I think everybody said, hey, do you have a kind of almost a song idea? And that's how the second one happened. You know, somebody would say, well, I have this, and then that was it. You know, we made it a song. And I love the way those guys play, man. They just have a certain synchronicity about them, man, where they already know what the other one's thinking, you know, while they're playing, you know. It's kind of like Ohm. I mean, me and Pag have we know where something's going and what's, you know, what each of us wants to happen next. So
now 2020 comes around, you get inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame. You put out the Return to Metalopolis. You're about to do a tour with Elson, doing Australia and Japan. Everything seems to be going great, and then the world closes down, man. I mean, how did that affect you?
Man, I was just hanging on. I was just, you know, my wife lost her job. I was the only, you know, income. And I was like, I thought this is what I do. This is my day gig. I run these studios with me and my boss, and it's just us two. We have 2 maintenance guys, and then me and Mike Doherty. And we thought halfway through 20 that it was over. And I had no idea what I was going to do. because, you know, I have a mortgage, I have a family. So basically, I was just like, I really didn't care too much about whether I was going to be playing music or not. I was more about, am I going to be able to keep my home, you know?
Right. Now, after that, everything started opening back up. When was the first time you played a show again after the, you know, mandate?
I can't remember when it was, but we played a couple big potato shows before Carlos got hurt. And it was fine. We didn't wear masks. I give up, man. I give up. I don't know what is going on with these people that run our country and our state, but I'm just done. I'm like, you know what? I could do better drunk. Okay. I could drink all day and all night long, and I could run this state better. I swear to God. I'm sorry. I just started realizing how much I've done just to keep my life where it's at right now because of all this, you know?
Oh man, I mean, trust me, go ahead and vent, dude. It's got to be hard. I mean, people don't realize that when you're a musician and stuff and the world closes down, I mean, there was no income coming in whatsoever. I mean, you know, people were, like you said, you're afraid you're going to lose your home. I mean, a lot of people were in that situation. It was a tough time.
I started praying, man. I started thanking God that I still have a house, you know, because I know there's people that they lost both jobs. And who knows what they did? I don't even, you know, there's probably so many stories that would make my hair curl, you know? And I think about that and I just count my blessings, man.
Now going forward, you have
the only good thing that's happened since all this COVID lockdown, nobody's doing anything, is I've been working on my guitar tone nonstop every day. And I pretty much have it so dialed in that just can't wait to go play live again. I'm just waiting for Carlos to get better, man. I swear to God.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. I mean, as moving forward, you have touring plans this year?
Well, yeah. I mean, as soon as Carlos gets better, M Theory Audio is all about us going out and doing our thing. And in the situation I'm in and the way touring is now, it's usually 2 weeks at a time and then another 2 weeks later. So if I always do the last 2 weeks of the month, I'm pretty sure my boss would let me take off for 2 weeks, no pay, go out, do my thing, come back. And then, as long as I'm here from the 1st to the 15th, I don't think he'd really care. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I want to get out and play, man.
Now, I know David's Alson's busy with his band Lucid, but if he decides to go back and do his solo stuff, would you jump on tour with him, do some of that?
I told, because I told Dave he wanted to know, and I said, listen, man, if you're in town, if you're anywhere near me, I'll come in and I'll hop on stage with you guys. But I can't commit to like joining a band except for this band right now.
Right. So how does that work with him? I mean,
this is like
go ahead with Elson's solo stuff right there. I mean, is it you and Bumblefoot taking turns filling in that role, or whoever is available?
No, I would just, like, if they were playing in town, I would come in and sit in on like probably a couple Megadeth songs and maybe one other. Whoever's playing guitar would just always still be playing guitar. Is it Bumblefoot? Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, him and
talk about a good guitar player.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a cool dude too. So
I like that Lucid record. It's a really well recorded and just well written record, man. And the drummer is really impressive. I don't know who it is, but I mean, they're all good, but there's two things that you can never find: a good drummer and a good singer. And they have both, It's the hardest thing, man, because drums are probably the hardest thing in a band. That if you don't have a good drummer, then you're pretty much, baked.
Yeah, man.
Luckily, we've always had great drummers.
The drummer's Mike Heller from he used to be in Fear Factory.
Oh, yeah. Now I know. Now I remember. That's right. Yeah, that doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah, it's him. It's Vinny from Sponge. He's the singer, and then Drew from Bang Tango. He's the guitarist on that one.
Oh, those are all just like, those are all serious guys. No wonder it sounds so good.
Yeah, it's it's good stuff for sure. Now going forward, man, people want to follow up with you. They want to check out the tracks that you got coming out. They want to know more about Ohm shows, things like that. Do you have a website? You got a Facebook, social media, things like that?
You know what? The best thing to do is keep an eye on Carlos Cruz, because he basically has taken over all our social media. So if you go on Carlos's, any social media that has Carlos Cruz music, whatever, he's going to talk about whatever we're doing. Because I honestly don't do that. I just don't do it. If I have a free moment during the day,
right,
I don't do my social media. I go figure out if I put a delay in a different loop, if it'll sound better on more songs, That's what I do if I have 5 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour,
So you're not taking pictures of your lunch then and sharing it with everybody?
No, God, exactly. I don't do that. No. This is what I ate for lunch.
Yeah,
no, I don't do that. We had a website a long time ago that I can't remember the guy's name, man. He was a really awesome dude from New Mexico. And he had the site set up so that, if I wanted to, I could correspond with any fan right there on the site. And that for some reason went away. And I used to do it. Like I would, it'd be like 11:30 at night, and I'd be like, I'm gonna go on the website for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. And I'd respond to everybody. It's not like that anymore. And now, yeah, God, I now have a wife and daughter, and a dog and a rabbit. I just don't have any free time for that when I'm home. And don't ever get a rabbit. They're really cute and everything, but man, rabbits, geez, they're a lot of work, man.
They just eating F, right?
And you know what? Rabbits aren't metal either, so that says it all. And I do want to say one thing, though. There's one thing I want to tell any guitar players that are listening. If you use a Floyd Rose bridge, you need to try a stone tone block on your Floyd Rose. You just need to try it. I mean, if you buy a pedal, any pedal you buy today that's worth anything costs $200 anyway. I guarantee if you put a stone tone block on your guitar, you're gonna somehow get a hold of Stone Tone and say, "Hey, I put this block on because Chris Poland said it would be cool," and it is cool because everybody's talking like this some kind of snake oil, and I don't get a dime from Rob at Stone Tone. He doesn't give. All he does is if I get a new Floyd guitar, he'll send me the block I need for the guitar for free. But it's not like he's paying me, and it's not like he's making a lot of money. It takes a long time to make that block. It's not just like you don't use a drill. You got to have special tools, and there's a lot of science to it. But I'm just tired of people like going, "Oh yeah, this is all bullshit. Who puts a rock on their guitar?" But it's not. It's really amazing. So there, I said it.
Awesome, man. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I can't wait to see some new stuff from you. And everybody listening here, they want to know more, go to officialohm.com. You get all the information there. It leads to the social media, things like that. And then the stuff from the opera should be out soon, right?
Yes, and if you're a Megadeth fan, you should grab that and have that in your collection because it's heavy, but it's way different than Megadeth. It's an animal unto itself, man. It's heavy, it's dark, it's mysterious, it's cool stuff, man.
You think that
and I just thank all the Megadeth fans for all these years, man, for always being great fan. Metal fans are the best fans, man.
Definitely, man. I mean, you know,
It seems like metal fans,
they stay true, you
they're
know.
always there. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm the same way. I'm a super Metallica fan. I hate to admit it, but I am.
I should
I
have.
do, because people give me crap. You know, I get so much crap for it. It's like, you like Metallica? Yeah, when Metallica came out with Master of Puppets, I was just like, huh? I could not believe that record, man. And I'd listen to our record after, and I'd be like, oh man, we should have spent more time getting toned.
Did you have to listen to it in like in hiding? I mean, you know.
Oh yeah. No, I never let anybody know I was listening to that. Are you kidding? I would have got a miracle. What are you listening to?
Listen to your Immortal Enemy there, you know. You guys are supposed to be in a.
Nah, I mean, it was kind of weird. It was always weird if they were around and we were like we did a show with them in San Francisco for a New Year's show, and that's the first time I ever saw Exodus live.
Oh yeah.
Holy man, that band blew everybody away that played that night, us included. They were just, God, man, they were awesome. And I had never seen them play before, and I was like, damn, that is a really good band. And then I saw Metallica live, and I was like, I was kind of disappointed, man, because I was expecting, you know, the Metallica I hear like when I put on a CD, and I was just like, you know, and you know it's not going to be the same, but it was just, I don't know, maybe the sound guy had a earache or something. I don't know, but man, Exodus was just insane. Well, anyway, I know we got to probably get off the phone here.
Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and I can't wait to see what comes next from you.
Yeah, man. And yeah, watch Blabbermouth, I guess. Probably in March there's going to be something up there about the signing with M Theory Audio and Ohm. So keep an eye out.
Definitely, man. Thank you.
All right, great talking to you and your son, man.
You too, man. Take care.
All right, have a good night.
You too.